World War II, one of the most brutal wars in history. 50 to 70 million people perished in the flames of inhumanity lit by the German dictator Adolf Hitler. Ending in 1945 after many years of constant bloodshed, the Allies had finally overpowered the Axis powers, preserving righteousness throughout the world. One of the obstacles Germany faced was Winston Churchill, a British politician. His credible military experiences and combat skills contributed to his ability to formulate battle tactics and make them succeed. Churchill's honorable actions of World War II, his drive to improve the quality of life of the British citizens, and his speeches continue to bring inspiration to the hearts of people today. Churchill consisted of traits that led to Britain's rescue and the defeat of the Nazis. Churchill's uniqueness was derived from his ability to make decisions effortlessly. His past military life prepared him to face last-minute problems and work under pressure, allowing him to take on the responsibilities of a military general and a prime minister. Churchill's enthusiasm and courage were reflected in his speeches, which proceeded to raise the people's hopes in victory.
That my American forebears have for so many generations played their part in the life of the United States, and that here I am, an Englishman, welcomed in your midst, makes this experience one of the most moving and thrilling in my life, which is already long and has not been entirely uneventful. I wish indeed that my mother, whose memory I cherish across the veil of years, could have been here to see. By the way, I cannot help reflecting that if my father had been American and my mother British, instead of the other way around, I might have got here on my own. Sure I am that this day, now, we are the masters of our fate. That the task which has been set us is not above our strength. That its pangs and toils are not beyond our endurance. As long as we have faith in our cause and an unconquerable willpower, salvation will not be denied us.
Winston Churchill's speeches had aligned a nation against the Nazi onslaught in World War II. His speeches helped his country against the difficult times ahead of them. Churchill wasn't originally an extraordinary speaker. He had a lisp, and by practicing enunciation, he was able to overcome that difficulty. His complication made him understand and respect the power of words. Using his understanding of their power, Churchill used words to rally the people of Britain together. President John F. Kennedy explained that Churchill mobilized the English language and sent it to battle. Churchill's words kept the spirits of his people high and motivated them to never give up. Known as the English Bulldog by the British, Churchill's determination to keep Britain safe inspired and motivated the people of Britain to do the same. Churchill was a role model for the people. He made them want to protect and serve as he did. Because of Churchill, the citizens of Britain were courageous enough to protect themselves and their home.
Although they fought together against the Nazis, behind the scenes, Churchill's relations with the Allied powers weren't very well constructed. He had many unexplained issues with the French general, Charles de Gaulle, which eventually turned into a mutual relationship of hatred, causing problems for the Allies. De Gaulle caused the American president Franklin D. Roosevelt much trouble along with Churchill. However, because Churchill's relations with de Gaulle weren't so bad at the time, he found himself trapped in a very unpleasant situation between the two quarreling men, adding to the crisis. Nonetheless, when France fell into peril, de Gaulle pleaded with Churchill to save France, and when he refused, de Gaulle impressed him as a welcome contrast to the defeatist high command of the French army. Churchill agreed and convinced Roosevelt to help Britain and France, freeing it of Hitler's rule for a short amount of time. As much of Churchill's legacy is derived from his victory in World War II, many people forget his other involvements in politics. He was a member of the House of Commons for 64 years, beginning in 1900 and becoming a part of the Conservative Party. In 1904, Churchill switched to the Liberal Party because of his mistrust in the Conservative Party's commitment to social justice. He eventually became the president of the Board of Trade, established many reforms for the prison system, introduced the first minimum wage, and also helped to begin labor exchanges for people who weren't employed and for unemployment insurance. Furthermore, Churchill encouraged and aided the passing of the People's Budget, which called for new taxes on wealthy people to fund upcoming social welfare programs. This was rejected initially but was passed later on. Churchill was also involved in working to amend the Mental Deficiency Act of 1913 and other aspects of the British government and law that he felt weren't being addressed properly.
As Britain came closer to the threat of invasion, his public demeanor kept hopes of people high and their optimism became his backbone instead of his reason for failure, unlike many other famous politicians. Public support and Churchill's unwillingness to surrender is what allowed Britain to pull through the war, leaving the Allies with a victory.
Winston Churchill wasn't simply a soldier, a politician, a strategist, an orator, an idealist. He was also a hero who not only achieved his V for victory, but also left behind a world in which Judaism was not completely diminished, in which a war did not continue to take millions of lives, in which all countries were not under the rule of one evil man, in which many lives were saved, regained, and improved.
Everyone has tried, none of prince, neither the long years, nor the dangers, nor the fierce attacks of the enemy have in any way weakened the unbending resolve of the British nation.